So a plethora of AI coding agents have been released in the last couple of months. In today's video, we're going to have a look at the AI coding agent called Crush. That's really interesting. So stay tuned. Cool. So this is Crush. This is an AI coding agent that lives in your terminal. I have it already installed on my machine. And we're going to have a look at some of the things that it can do for us. And then you can see how it can benefit you and your workflow. So I'm going to move to my terminal. Here we have these two terminals open. And I'm going to, because I have the source code on my machine, I'm going to essentially run the source code and run the application. And here we have Crush. And see, the UI shows you the logo. It tells you the current directory that you're focused on and the model that you are currently using. I'm using now GPT-4o, and we can connect a language server to Crush so that it can have a better understanding of the actual code. And it tells us that this is a Go code base. So cool. What I want to do is show you some of the capabilities that this piece of software provides. So let's go right to it. So what I want to do is to essentially ask Crush to change this key binding over here. So instead of Control-C to quit the application, the key binding should be Control-Q. So let's see how this AI coding agent can handle this. So let's say, please refactor the key binding for quitting the application from Control-C to Control-Q. So that's the instruction that I provided it. If you check on the right hand side of the UI, we see the command, the instruction that I provided it. That is also going to be the title of the session that we have. And then we also have the current directory that we are, the model again, and the cost. So this is how much all the tokens that I've used actually cost in terms of money, right? And then it shows us the modified files and then the language servers that we're using. So it's doing its work. So what we want to do while that's happening, I want to show you a very interesting capability that this provides us, is that we can actually do Control-P, and then we can create another session. So before we create another session, we actually have to wait for the current session to complete, which I think it would be better if we could actually have multiple sessions running simultaneously. Okay, so it's asking for permission to actually change the key binding, which I think is fine. We can allow this to happen. I'm happy with that. So it looks like it's viewing this file, the TUI/keys.go file. And here we can see the modified file so far in chat.go. And of course, we can still see the cost for the for all of these operations that we've been doing so far. So it's still doing its thing, still taking its time. And so it found, so here we can see that it's swapping Control plus C with Control plus Q, and it's doing the same thing here. So that's it shows the diff, and it's saying that it needs permission to actually edit the file. And we can click, we can select allow. And let it do its thing. And now we can see it's viewing another file in components dialog squidkeys.go. And it looks like it found the actual key map that defines the keyboard bindings for the quit dialog. And it's going to update those key bindings as well. Okay, so it found the place where we can actually define the bindings for the confirm dialog. And here we see a diff of that change. So instead of Control C, we do Control Q. And for the help menu, we have Control C. Instead, we have Control Q instead of Control C. And let's allow that change. And here, as usual, we can see all of the modified files so far. So we have context of what files have actually been changed. And it's interesting, hey, because we're actually using Crush as an AI coding agent to modify Crush source code. Pretty cool. So now we might have a future where AI coding agents actually modify themselves. But since they can't actually think of goals, they don't have the thinking capacity, the freedom that we have to actually think of things to build. And so we won't be able to, they won't be able to do all of these things themselves without a goal in mind. So cool. So it looks like we have another file to change. And this is in Golang Crush internal TUI components dialogs commands.go. And here we change the shortcut so it can be Control Q instead of Control C. And we can allow this one as well. And once again, we can see all of the files that we have modified so far. I really still feel that if we had the capability to open another session whilst a current session is busy, then I think that would be extremely powerful. So an interesting thing about these AI coding agents, like as a human waiting for this thing to actually finish, to actually do its thing, the question that pops up in my mind is, would it just be faster for me to do it myself? Obviously, for someone who has decent knowledge of the code base, this would be like a less than 2 minute change because of foreknowledge of how the code is structured. But maybe for someone that's new to the project, it could take some time. So if I'm someone that built this project that is very familiar with the code base, I could probably make this change much quicker, right? Okay, so it found another place where that key binding needs to change, and that's allow that change. And I think a very powerful thing that the coding this AI coding agent is doing is actually using a language server to verify if whatever code it's generating is actually correct code. And here we can see the cost so far. It's about $1 for the changes that we've made so far. And it found another piece of code where it needs to change the key binding, and let's allow that. It is being quite thorough in terms of all the places it needs to find to ensure that the functionality works as expected. Okay, so it's asking for permission to actually run a bash command on this path, and the command that we want to run is task lintfix and task test. And these are essentially tasks that are defined as part of the Crush source code, so that we can run a linter to fix any issues in the code, and then we can run tests. So yeah, let's allow for that to happen. We can see here's executable file not found in path. So it looks like there's an error that occurred, and I think this is happening because the Crush application is not in the path currently. I'm running directly from the actual source code directory. I just built it and called go run dot, and it's not actually installed in the system as you would normally expect it to be. But it is running the tests. It's called go test on this path, and it's running what it seems to be tests. Let's see what it outputs. And now it tells us that the refactoring of the key binding for quitting the application from Control-C to Control-Q has been completely successful in the following files. And there we can see the files that it changed. It corresponds to all those files that we see here in the modified files side menu. We changed keys.go in dialogues. We changed commands.go, main.go, and spinner.go. And it also ran the tests, and therefore and there were no issues. If you have any other requests or need further assistance, feel free to ask. Well, I'm going to ask you to let's focus on chatting. We can actually we can click tab to actually go up, through our conversation, so we can see the history, and we can click tab again to move to the chat interface. And I can say, show me my current Git workspace. And you can see it actually ran bash. It used bash to run the git status command, so we can see the modified files. So they should be essentially the same as what we have here. So it's quite powerful that it can actually run the commands that are required via bash, which is quite powerful. The only question on my mind is that, if I do this myself, I could probably do it faster, and I can get all this information much quicker. Let me see untracked files here. So let's see how it does when it comes to committing. Let's focus chat, look at the git log for the current project, and write a commit message that follows the existing patterns used in the commit history. Okay. So what I expected to do is to run git log. All right. It looked at the last 5 commit messages, and it's going to try and write a commit message based on whatever style of commits that we used before. So this looks like it's semantic commits. I think that's what it's called. Is it semantic commits? Let's check. Semantic commits. Oh, conventional commits. It's conventional commits. That's the correct word, the correct definition. Let's go back. Okay, based on your recent git commit history, here's a suggested commit message for refactoring of the key binding. Fix: change the key binding for quitting from Control-C to Control-Q. Modify the key binding across multiple components to improve user experience, aligning with standard key binding practices. This message follows the format of recent commits and provides a clear and concise description of the message or of the change. If you'd like to proceed with committing these changes or need any modifications to the message, just let me know. Proceed. Now it should proceed and actually write the commit message. It should actually do a git add and then the commit. And here we can see the cost for these changes up till now. So it's asking permission once again to run this tool. So we can see there's an underlying MCP server behind this coding agent that's it's triggering tools like Bash and other tools to be able to do what it needs to do. So the path that is going to be used in this context is this one, and the command is git add. It's going to add all these files. I think I'm happy with that. Generated with Crush. It's co-authored by Crush. It actually tells us, it actually adds this co-authored by signature, which is quite interesting. Allow. I'm happy with that change. So I think the ultimate test would be actually quitting the application and then building the application and then running the application to see if that change actually works. The changes have been committed successfully with the message fix change binding for quitting app from Control C to Control Q. Okay, cool. So let's run Control C to quit for now. Yep. And let's run go build. And then let's run go run. Oops. Should we go run? And let's see what we got. Very cool. So we can see here, it actually changed the key binding from Control C to Control Q. And if we do the actual key binding, Control Q, we can quit. So that's it. This is Crush. It's a very interesting AI coding agent that I wanted to show you guys. It runs in a terminal. Yeah, and I think it's going to be quite interesting for myself to continue learning how it works, and I think it's going to be interesting for you as well. So yeah, that's it for this video. Until next time.